This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe. On this day, September the 18th, 1994, a new pro golf tournament was made, the President's Cup. Now, a few days ago, I talked about the RYder Cup and how it was US versus Europe and all that. But a lot of people were saying that, what about the stars that are not US or Europe? What about Canada? Like, what about South American players, African players, Asian players, people from Australia and New Zealand? Well, the fact of the matter is, not too many of them were superstars back in the old days. So it took till the 1980s to realize that they may need something for a tournament for, like, something like the RYder Cup, but for people from around the world. So they decided to have a tournament. The United States would face a team that was an international team, which does not include Europe. So no European players were allowed to play in the President's Cup because they were doing the RYder Cup. So the President's Cup would be US versus world minus Europe, and been held in every 2 years. It was supposed to be in even numbered years, but because of 9/11, the 2001 RYder Cup had to be moved to 2002. The President's Cup went odd number years. It would revert to the even numbers because of the COVID pandemic. Quail Hollow in Charlotte will host it next year. So the scoring system is match play. The format is drawn from the RYder Cup and has 12 players per side. Each team is captain, who chooses the pairs in the Devil's events, which are both alternate shot and best ball formats, aka foursome and four ball moments. I talked about that on the RYder Cup thing. Each match is worth a point if you win and half a point if it's a tie. There have been some format changes and all that. They decided to change from a 3-day to a 4-day tournament in 2000. A team needs 15.5 points to win. So every President's Cup from 94 to 2005, prior to the start of the final day matches, a captain selected one player to play in a tiebreaker in the event of a tie. In 2003, the tiebreaker match ended after 3 holes because of darkness. So then they decided to change it from 05 to 13. Singles matches ending level at the end of regulation would be extended to extra holes until the match was won outright. So they had a bit of a thing and all that. There's actually no prize money at the President's Cup. The proceeds are distributed to charities nominated by the players, captains, captains' assistants. It raised over $32 million worldwide. There are some records you may want to know though. Most appearances on a team, Phil Mickelson, were 12 times at the President's Cup, and the most points, 32.5. He's won the most foursome points and the most four-ball points as well. The most singles points won in career is Tiger Woods, going 7-2 at the President's Cup. One of those 2 losses was huge. I'll tell you why. Anyway, most points in a single contest, President's Cup 5, held by 5 golfers: Mark O'Meara, Shigeki Maruyama, Tiger Woods, Jim Furyk, and Brandon Grace. Ryo Ishikawa is the youngest player to compete at the President's Cup at 18 years, 21 days, and the oldest player is Jay Haas, 49 years, 353 days in 2003. So, the first event was in Gainesville, Virginia, at the Rubber Trent Jones Golf Club. The United States had Hale Irwin as captain, but they were allowed to be playing captains. So Hale Irwin was captain. Paul Asinger was Hale Irwin was the captain, the non-playing captain, and then Paul Asinger was a non-playing assistant captain. So Jeff Maggard, Tom Lehman, Corey Pavin, John Houston, Lauren Roberts, Jim Gallagher Jr., Scott Hoke, David Slope III, and Fred Couples would be in the first part of the first President's Cup team. Jay Haas and Phil Mickelson were picked by Hale Irvine. The international team, well, they had what they call the the official World Golf Ranking. All that. The international team had David Graham as the non-playing captain, and their golfers were Nick Price, David Frost, Mark McNulty. Well, Nick Price from Zimbabwe, David Frost from South Africa, Mark McNulty from Zimbabwe, Vijay Singh from Fiji, Frank Nobilo from New Zealand, Peter Senior from Australia, Steve Elkington from Australia, Craig Perry from Australia, and Robert Allenby from Australia. The two captains' picks were Tsukasa Watanabe of Japan and Fulton Anem from South Africa. Bradley Hughes of Australia was also there, only because Greg Norman got ill. The international players were hurt hard because Ernie Els had a commitment to play at the British Masters at Dunhill, and Jumbo Saki and Tommy Nakajima were playing in another tournament. So the international team didn't look so good. And the worst part for that is that the morning floorball matches, all the American pairs won. But the internationals got their own back with tying the United States, both groups having 2.5 points. In the morning floorball, the internationals actually snuck to a 3.13.5 to 1.5 to have the deficit down to 9-6. But the foursomes, the United States won. So go up 12-8. The internationals only won 4 of the matches as Senior and Perry. They had 4 points. Senior and Perry won, and then there were 4 ties that gave them 2 points. Overall, it was a good time for the United States to be David Love III, who was 4-0-1 in his matches. Fred Couples won all 3 of his things. Every American won at least one event. John Houston was the lone guy to have 1 win. International-wise, Vijay Singh was good at 3-1-1, and Peter Senior played 3 events and was 2-1. Nick Price got 1 point, but he had 2 ties, thankfully for him. Nick Price was not really that good. So, the 94. However, in 2007, Canada got the event. I'll tell you about that event. That President's Cup, the United States did win at Ile Boussard, Quebec, at the Royal Montreal Golf Club. The international team of Gary Player and Ian Baker Finch as non-playing captains. Based on golf rankings, the top 10 people were this: Ernie Els, Adam Scott, Vijay Singh, Jeff Ogilvie, KJ Choi, Rory Sabatini, Retief Goosen, Trevor Abelman, Angel Cabrera, and Stuart Appleby. They picked Nick O'Hearn of Australia and Canada's own Mike Weir to be on the international team. The US team had Jack Nicklaus and Jeff Sluman as captains. And they picked Tiger Woods, Jim Furyk, Phil Mickelson, Zach Johnson, Charles Howell III, Scott Verplank, David Toms, Steve Stricker, Stuart Sink, and Woody Austin. With a pair of rookies, Lucas Glover and Hunter Mahan joined them too. In the foursomes, the internationals only had half point. That was Singh and Weir having with Mickelson and Austin. The Americans were dominant. However, the 4-ball formats worked out in the internationals' favor as they won 4.5 to 1.5 to only be down 7-5. But the morning foursomes were not that good as the Americans won all 5 of those. Afternoon 4-ball was 2.5 to 2.5, so it was 14.5 to 7.5. And then the singles matches, the internationals actually won 7-5, although they lost by 5 points. But the biggest event was the fact that Mike Weir went up against Tiger Woods. It was an iconic matchup that a lot of Canadians tuned in to watch on TV, even though everyone knew the Americans were going to win the the President's Cup, but Weir shocked Woods by winning 1-up and making things up. Mike Weir was 3-1-1 on the international team. In fact, he got the most points by a golfer. Ernie Els was 3-2, so he did pretty well. So Weir and Els did well, but not Immelman and Sabatini, who both only had one tie in 4 matches. The Americanos were Tiger Woods had 3 points to be 3-2. However, he was not the best golfer on the team. That would go to David Toms, who in his 5 matches, singles, foursomes, and 4 balls, was 4-0-1. Scarfer Plank also went perfect, 4-0. Every American won one event except 2 things, except for Woody Austin. Although Woody would win 1 match, that would be a foursome. He would end up at 3 ties in his 4-ball matches and singles. Woody Austin would also have a memorable moment when he was trying to play a ball from near the water and he fell into the lake. Thankfully, he was okay. But, it's scary sometimes. So anyway, that's all I've got for the President's Cup. It's not as good as the RYder Cup, but it works. And I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.